Hello crafty legends, thank you for joining me in this adventure, which is making the sweetest tactile bookmark with bright nasturtiums. You decide for yourself if you want to slow down, make a cup of tea, or speed run it like a galloping magical unicorn, which I'm sure you are. Who am I to say? All whimsy aside, this video is a visual companion to my full text and photo tutorial available in my Etsy shop. There you'll find recommendations for tools and materials, the full pattern pages, both A4 and letter, ideas on more colorways, and detailed thread requirements for each step. Engaging with this video will help me immensely to reach more crafty people like yourself, so please leave a comment or hit that like button, or dislike if you're that way inclined, before you're too deep into the project. Let's begin with pattern preparation first. Little side note. This project is perfect if you have lots of felt scraps. The only substantial size of felt is needed for the bookmark background pieces. There are two ways to go about making your pattern. I call them traditional and simplified in my tutorial. They're just names I've come up with to help with the distinction. With the traditional method, you'll be printing one pattern sheet, cutting all your little pieces out, as one would normally do. Then transfer your pattern pieces to felt using chalk or an erasable pen. You will need to cut out two bookmark background pieces. Check out the linked video to expand your knowledge on methods and tools for pattern transfer. For the simplified method, you'll be printing out one pattern on water-soluble adhesive sheet and sticking it directly to felt. This will help with placement of your applique pieces and embroidery. If you're using the water-soluble sheet, please make sure to read instructions on page 12 of the PDF tutorial before you start. You can either leave the piece uncut or trim around it if it's convenient to you. You will need only one background piece at this stage. The second one will be cut out later. The second pattern will need to be printed on adhesive label paper. Cut out sections for each color as shown on the pattern and stick them to felt. Cut out pattern pieces and peel away label paper. There is a simple quick video I've linked in the description to explain the process. My personal preference is using adhesive label paper for applique pieces. I love how neat and crisp they turn out, but with no support from water-soluble sheets. But I think they're quite amazing if you're a beginner and need some support with laying out your pieces. For an easier visual distinction, the bookmark shown in this tutorial in forest green is being made fully using the traditional method, and the one in light coral simplified method. To assist with positioning applique pieces, use the bookmark pattern as a guide. Pin pieces in place before stitching them on, or follow the pattern on your adhesive sheet, aligning pieces to the outlines. Whip stitch the green leaves to their designated spots. Leave all knots on the wrong side. Secure your thread at the back when done stitching. There is a comprehensive guide to whip stitching on page 11 of the PDF tutorial that covers all the do's and all the don'ts. Super neat so far. Let's move on to the middle and the top leaves. If you're following the traditional method, continue using your pattern for extra accuracy. Here they are, side by side, ready for the next phase. Next will be drawn leaf veins. Use the diagram from the tutorial to copy the lines to the leaves. You can use thin chalk or an erasable pen. Here I'm using my favorite heat erasable pen. In the center of each leaf, I like to embroider a small circle. To make it, first create a link stitch. Then open it up with small anchor stitches on each side. It's not exactly super round, but all we need is a perception of roundness. Then embroider leaf veins with series of split stitches. The details you can find on page 11. In the essence, each new stitch starts at the base of a previous one, splitting its end, hence split stitch. It's one of my favorite because it looks like a continuous line, a bit like drawing, but with a needle. Secure with a knot at the back. And there we are again, all leaves embroidered. Next will be attaching flower petals, but there is a slight misalignment with the PDF tutorial here. Rest assured, we'll come back to the bit where we attach the yellow center a bit later. If you're using the water-soluble sheet, attach petals one by one as shown in the tutorial. If you're manually aligning petals, here's a little trick to help along. Lay the paper pattern over the bookmark and mark a point to which you'll be aligning your first petal with a pin. Use chalk or an erasable pen to highlight the point. Then whip stitch your first petal in place. Do not stitch into any pointy ends of your pieces. To attach the second petal, use your paper pattern once again. It's easier now since you've got a point of reference. And the third petal is easier still. It just goes in the middle between the first two. Repeat the process for the top flower. Now we're coming back to the yellow center I've skipped before. Using the pattern reference, whip stitch the yellow center to its location. Then, start attaching petals one by one. First, bottom center petal. Then, 2 bottom petals to either side of the first one. And finally, the 2 top petals to complete the flower. Flowers can certainly add so much cheer. Then, attach yellow sepals to complete your top and bottom flowers. As you're working around thinner parts, don't add too many stitches. You simply need to be able to anchor those pieces to the background. And a little comparison side by side. Next, we'll need to embroider the stems. If you're not using the water-soluble sheet, we'll draw them first. I like to lay out the seeds first to help with drawing, just to have a point of reference. Keeping the image on the side helps immensely as well. Take your time, it doesn't need to be accurate, but the stems need to tie our composition together. What do you think? Is it doable? To embroider the stems, use the chain stitch. You can either make chains by bringing your needle to the wrong side and then immediately out 2 or 3 millimeters away from the starting point. Wrap your thread around and pull it through. Then down and out again. Anchoring your loop and creating a new chain stitch. Or there is another way. You can bring your needle to the wrong side, pull your thread a little bit through, and then bring it out again through the loop, creating a chain stitch. Let's try it again. Down, out, and it goes through the loop. and here's your chain stitch. It's the same, but just not done in one action per se. This gives you a better control over how long your stitches are. It's especially important when you stitch the curvy parts where you need to keep your stitches very small. I really love the chain stitch, it has a nostalgic feel to me. And the last what we'll be attaching is the seeds. You get the drill by now. Ta-da! Now we'll embroider the stars. It's easy with a water-soluble sheet. The locations are already defined. If you're not using the sheet, mark the location by hand using your pattern as a reference. Make 4 crossing stitches for the 8-point stars, with a tiny cross in the middle. Repeat for each point. If you're not using the water-soluble sheet, skip the next step / interjection using the time codes, for it's time to dissolve it. Before we give this bookmark a warm bath, let's trim away as much as we can. Cut out the bookmark and cut away water-soluble sheet as practical. Work really carefully around your embroidery. I think we're ready now. Rinse your bookmark under fast-flowing warm water tap. If you work in cold water, it will take longer, but less shrinkage will occur. I think shrinkage isn't very crucial for this bookmark, so I choose to run really warm to hot water, but do it carefully to not burn your hands. Once the first rinsing is done, and you can see the felt absorbed some water, soak it under a weight for 15 to 20 minutes until the whole sticky residue is gone. You might need to do extra work to remove it from the stems. Use your common sense and caution. Squeeze the excess water. I don't really stand on ceremonies here. It will be fine. Pat dry with a towel or a paper towel, applying some pressure to draw out excess moisture. Make sure to not distort your piece. Lay flat to air dry. It needs to be completely dry before proceeding with more embroidery on it. Little cheeky move to speed up the process. Cover the bookmark with a cloth and iron over on low heat until fully dry. Do not apply too much pressure and be careful to not distort the shape of the bookmark. Okay, it looks fairly flat by now, but dry, and that's what's important. To continue with the embroidery, draw 3 slightly curved vertical lines on each seed, as per the diagram in the PDF tutorial. Then, embroider the lines with a series of split stitches. Very prettiful. Embroider the flower details as per the diagrams in the tutorial. They'll consist of a combination of straight stitches and link stitches. Start with the bottom flower. Here's a little chain or a link, the same as we've done before, only it's a single one. Then add some more straight stitches. Repeat the same pattern for the top flower. Let's move to the middle flower now. For the middle flower, you need to make 3 long straight stitches on each petal, followed by short ones in between them. It's even easier. Then, change your thread to brown and again embroider 3 long lines, this time converging at one point, and 3 short ones in between. For the last stitch, make 2 short stitches underneath the top petals on each side. Et voila! And the embroidery part is concluded. Let's make a tassel. You can absolutely use a pre-made one if you feel like it, but if you want to use what you've got on hand already, follow this step with me. Cut the 2 thread lengths, 30 centimeters and 50 centimeters. You can either make one thick tassel or 2 thin ones out of one skein. If you're making 2, cut extra strings. Grab the ends of the 50 centimeter string in each hand. Start twisting them in opposite directions. You'll be making a little twisty. So when you feel it's twisted enough, bring the ends together, folding the string in half and allowing the sides to intertwine. Fold the string in half again to form a loop and tie a knot on the end. Grab your skein. If you're making 2 tassels, cut it in half across. If you're making 1, just fold it. I'm cutting it across. Insert the folded skein through the twisted string so the fold covers the knot fully. Grab the 30 centimeter string, make a loop and lay it over your tassel. Now start wrapping the longer end of the string around the base of the tassel, approximately 1 centimeter from the fold. Once you've done wrapping the string, insert it in the loop. Pull the shorter end of the string up to tighten the loop while holding the wrap so it doesn't come apart. Cut off the shorter end of the string close to the wrap. Leave the longer end to blend in with the tassel. Make a very tight knot just above the top of the tassel. Spray with water to relax and untangle the stranded cotton threads, and then brush the tassel using a soft bristle hairbrush. Trim the ends. Slide a wooden bead over the loop and tie a knot on top. And your tassel or mani is ready. Before the final assembly, we have options again. You can use an eyelet to thread your tassel through or simply sew it in. If you're using an eyelet, you'll need extra padding so it doesn't destroy the integrity of your piece. You'll need to attach a small piece of felt to the wrong side of the bookmark at the eyelet location with a couple of temporary stitches. If you're sewing your tassel in, attach it now with basting stitches. They will be removed later. And one last bit. If you've been using a water-soluble sheet, you will need to cut out a backing piece for your bookmark. Lay your embroidered bookmark on a felt sheet of the same color as the original piece and trace around it with chalk. Cut it out. Align your embroidered bookmark and the backing pieces together. Pin them or use binding clips. Start stitching the pieces together using the closed buttonhole stitch. Find the detailed description in the PDF tutorial. You can also use a simpler blanket stitch. Find the link to a basic tutorial on blanket stitching linked in the description. Mark out where each stitch will go as you approach the corner, spacing them evenly so that one of the stitches sits neatly in the corner itself. Continue on to the top corner. If you're stitching in your tassel, make sure to secure it with making the same stitch twice in the tip of the bookmark, so the string is held in place nicely. If you need to restart with a new working thread, complete your last stitch making the full V, then make a knot, stitch with your needle away, anywhere between the layers, and then cut your thread off. Tie a knot on your new thread and pull your needle with a new thread through the center of the last stitch, leaving the knots sandwiched between the bookmark layers. Then just resume your stitch as before. As you're approaching the first stitch, mark the location of the last couple stitches so they're evenly spread. To finish off the very first stitch, you will need to complete it with the second half of the V. Bring your needle up from the starting point, make a loop, pull your thread through. This will create the left-leaning part of the V. Now, what's remaining is a little roof over the V. Insert your needle under the first stitch and make a knot. Stitch away to the back of your bookmark and cut the thread off. I actually like how even these stitches turned out. It's very neat. If you're setting an eyelet, hang with me for a tiny bit more. Remove any temp stitches and mark a location for your future eyelet. I have this 2-in-1 tool for setting eyelets, which makes it heaps easier. There is another way that I described in detail in the PDF tutorial. It uses an anvil and an eyelet setter along with a hammer. Make a hole through all the layers and carefully wiggle out your bookmark. Insert a shank from the front and a washer from the back. Set the eyelet using the right nozzles on both sides of the tool. Not sure if it's the correct term for this, but there you go. How lovely is this? Thread your tassel through the eyelet. And you're truly done. Thanks so much for traveling along and your patience. I really hope you've enjoyed this little challenge and will adore your very own Nasturtium bookmark. Leave a comment if you like this tutorial and subscribe to see more of my videos. Support each other and stay crafty.